a little behind if you want to, or no?
That's about right. No, I think we got it. Am I addressing the camera directly, or am I addressing?
Address the camera. It's fine.
Yeah. I know.
And then we can talk to each other. It's basically talk. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
So this. I tell you what, I'm gonna.
It's
this can all stay in, but this can't stay.
Okay. You see, people, what I gotta deal with. Okay.
There we go.
Look
how much better that looks.
It was better.
It's gone.
Yeah, that's true. All right.
I can't help it. What you didn't see is 5 minutes of me adjusting the lights in the room.
I think they did see this because I'm going to leave it in. Is that what you want to see? Do you want to see more bloopers like this? Let me know. Let's start. Hello, everyone. I'm here with one of my favorite magicians, Henri White.
Pleasure. You're one of my favorite magicians too.
Thank
and
you.
one of my favorite people.
And thank you.
You're totally happy.
I try.
I don't think I've ever seen you sad.
I do. Yeah, let's not go there.
Let's
not go there. Yeah. But yeah, I think I'm most of the time. I'm quite happy. But how is the video you just saw? That was pretty good. I think it was great. The coin pen jumping across.
I think it must be at least 4 years since we've done that properly.
Yeah, true.
Because we was in Shinlim's video 3 years ago.
Yes.
I'm sure there'll be a link somewhere. For that.
Somewhere. Yeah.
But it's it's been a little while.
It's been a while, yeah. So we have if you saw the video clearly in the start of this video, this interview, and I think we did this act 4 years ago, trying to put it in a competition. So the idea was a close-up. There was the dream, Magic Circle Magician of the Year, and then we would have top 3 places, him, myself, and the double act. We didn't really care about what's gonna be what position.
We didn't even look into the logistics of the rules if we could enter
if we
twice.
could enter, but we could enter with exactly, with a double act, yeah. But we just thought there was no double act before, so let's try something new. And what you saw was just a snippet of the whole act. We were working on something with cups and bowls and vanishing clothes and changing. Yeah, there's a lot of not vanishing, changing clothes. Okay, so let's get into right from the start. You're one of the most, I would say, at your young age, you're probably one of the most influential people in magic when it comes down to people. Everyone knows you. I mean, Teller knows you really well.
Yeah, there's
a lot of big names in magic knows Henri, and that's because you're very helpful. You take them around, you show them around London. You've been working in. In fact, let's let you speak. I don't want to speak. How did you get into magic?
How did I get into magic? It's a weird thing. So I grew up. This is going to sound unconnected, but I grew up in a pub. So I grew up in a public house for Americans. It's like a bar with a house on top.
Okay.
We served food and things, but basically what it meant was so both my parents were working all the time, and I was an only child. So I developed a long list of hobbies, which involved a lot of spare time. So I played piano for 21 years. I'm a juggler. I'm a magician.
True.
I do lots of weird things. I used to do video editing, all this weird stuff, and I think that's part of the reason why you and me get on, because we both have a lot of high skill hobbies.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is. There's something about magic. And I've said this to a lot of people. No one quits magic, because magic isn't just a hobby; it's a way of thinking.
Yes.
If you think about it, how many people do you know that have really quit magic?
No.
They don't.
They're like 80 and they're coming up with effects.
Yeah. No, it's people. People never quit magic, and magic. Even though I went like maybe 3 or 4 years where I didn't do it like the way I used to. When I got to about 14, I was just like, no, this is it. There's something about this that I really love. And then I learned. I heard about the Magic Circle and things like that. I entered a competition called Young Magician of the Year. That way I met loads of other magicians my age. But I started out just like a little geek who used to watch TV. I was obsessed with David Blaine, Penn and Teller. Okay. Then anytime I saw the word magic on a show, I was like, I'm on. I'm just like scrolling through teletext every single day. It's like, can I see magic? Can I see magic? Magic. Right, watched it. I watched everything to do with magic. And it just kind of took over my life, and I met magicians local to my area. So where I lived were magicians like Spencer Wood, Etienne Pradier.
Oh wow.
So I grew up in Kent, for context. I grew up in Kent. So I grew up in a little village called Shawn, or little village I should say, called Shawn, just outside Rochester, Gravesend. So all the kind of Kent magicians were there, and Kent is obviously a huge centre of wedding magic. So like I said, you've got the big wedding magicians there. So I was exposed to some really good magic early on. But yeah, I genuinely can't remember a time in my life where I didn't love magic. Like one of the first things I ever had at a children's party, I had Terry Herbert, who's a person we both know, a magician. Yeah. He was a magician at my first, I think it was my first or second birthday party. Wow. So magic has been there my entire life, and I'm just obsessed with it. Yeah. And so, even though I have all these other hobbies, I used to be a fire eater, a 5-degree unicyclist.
Wow. You've done more things than I have. Yeah. Seriously.
But magic, and I think it's the same for you.
Yeah.
It stays with you, and there's a community like no community in the world. And I just love it. I love magic so much. So that's a very long-winded answer to your
But
question.
that's great. I think now my audience is starting to watch and enjoy longer videos. So this is great. It's a great start to start putting longer videos out there. So you've got into magic, obviously bitten by the magic bug, and now you're doing magic your whole life. Where are you at the moment? I mean, what do you do at the moment? Are you doing residencies? You were working in a shop for a while?
Yeah, so I'll give you quite an arrogant answer first, and I'll give you an intricate answer. So, what am I doing right now? The answer is anything I like. For the last kind of 5 years, my life has been dictated by certain people I've worked for, which has been amazing. I've worked for some amazing companies, so I'm sure we'll go into that later on.
Okay.
But I realised beginning of this year, I was like, I just want to do what I want to do for a while, and I've just kind of done whatever I want now. Paying my rent hasn't been easy. I've often said this last couple of weeks has been the happiest, the busiest, and the poorest I've ever been. And I think you know this as well. You can be really busy having a load of fun.
Yeah.
But the things that are fun for you not always things that make money.
Yeah. They don't often pay the best. Some of the best gigs you've done are sometimes the ones that don't really pay well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also it's things like it's knowing the difference between value and cost.
Yeah.
It's like I can get this is going to sound really weird and disconnected, but there's an experiment that they did with children years ago where they said you can have one bar of chocolate, one little chunk of chocolate now, or a whole bar if you wait half an hour. And I'm in the phase of waiting half an hour.
Right.
So rather than going out and getting lots of little £100, £50 things here, it's like maybe I'll go and chat with this person. Maybe that will turn into thousands rather than tens or hundreds.
I like that way of thinking. That's great.
But it's not easy, and it's not. My other half will tell you is like this is not a practical way to make a living.
Yeah.
And there are like literally, I'm being really honest here. Like 2 days ago, I was staring at my bank balance, going, I don't think I can pay the rent. I genuinely don't think I can pay the rent.
That's not a good position to be, but yeah.
But there's the beauty of magic. Bring up a few people, get a few jobs, get going, and with people we know.
True.
And I got out working, and it was that bit hardest I've worked for months and months and months.
Do you know what Simon Drake once told me when I used to work for Simon Drake? He said, "If you've got to get out there."
For Simon Drake. I don't know anyone that still works for Simon Drake.
No, I mean, I haven't spoken to him in a while, but he's amazing. He is amazing. People have their own opinions about him, but I like Simon Drake, and he let me work for him, which is great, and I can't say anything negative about that. But he did tell me that if you can never starve as a magician, because if you know how to busk, just get out there, magic, get on the streets and busk.
I actually, when I was 14 or 15, I used to. My life changed when I discovered you could get the train to London. I always thought London was this faraway place, even though I lived like 40 minutes from London.
Yeah.
I realised at some point, like, oh my god, I can just give £8 to this ticket machine and I can go to London.
Yeah.
So I used to just get train tickets to London all the time, and I knew from that age, I'm like, this is where I have to be. And I remember I was at Charing Cross Station one day, I was like, okay, and now I get my ticket. I was like, I haven't got my ticket. Don't worry, I'll pay for it with my money. Oh no, I opened my wallet up and there was no money. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to. So I just walked around and I got the deck of cards out. I was like, hello madam, do you want to see a trick? She went, oh, what did you show me that for? I was like, I'm being totally honest. I can't get home. And then it's like, oh, £2, thank you very much. And I walked around the station until I had enough money to get home.
Well, that's amazing.
I mean, I didn't feel great at the time.
I know. I mean,
I actually that was 11 years ago. I kind of completely wrote that story off in my life.
Wow, yeah, I've never heard that story before. That's great. Perfect. So you said you work for some very famous companies and people.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Yes. So one of the most notable things I've done. There's two big companies I work for within magic. That is.
Okay.
So the first one, when I was about 19, 20 years old, I went to work for Marvin's Magic, which is a very common route for a lot of magicians.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
There are dozens of magicians around the world working for him now, but in the past there have people been like Andy Nyman, Dominic Wood, Stephen Mulhern, Danny Buckler, Anthony Owen. Just the list is endless.
Yeah.
The list is absolutely endless of these amazing people that work for Marvin, and like you can't help but think, what's going on here? So wandered down to Hamleys, went for an interview, met Bruce Smith. And a guy called Jason. We'll come back to that in a minute. You'll see why that's important. A guy called Jason. They interviewed me and they said, I bet you can't wait to get down into Hamleys. I was like, oh no, I don't want to be at Hamleys. Do you have anywhere else? Because this place is horrible. Like, oh well, you can go to Harrods, but it's really slow there. You won't make much money. I was like, wait, you're saying I could go to Harrods, and you're saying like it's a bad thing? Get me to Harrods. So I was just like. And it's like, oh, not many people want to go to Harrods. I went, I do. I want to go to Harrods. Anyway, the process of joining Harrods is a big thing, and so you can't just work at Harrods. You can't, in the same, when you work at Hamleys, you just kind of rock up, they don't really care. At Harrods, there's a huge kind of 2-week process. You have to go through lots of different interviews, and the interviews there are insane, and I'm sure we could talk about that for hours, but long story short, I get the job at Harrods, and I was working for a relatively small team of people.
Benoit was there?
Yeah, Benoit.
I remember going to Harrods and meeting you, and I think it was the same time that Marvin had booked me at that time to do some sort of show. I was doing some sort of performance. In fact, speaking about Harrods, sorry, just to let you know that I was at Harrods yesterday working for a company. Yeah, it was a VIP event that they had got all their VIP customers, and a fragrance brand that you'll see the video very soon. They booked me to do magic at their stall, so I was there yesterday, just working for Harrods in the morning. So yes,
it's an amazing building, and it's like. I visited when I was like 6 or 7 years old, and I bought magic when I was there. I bought Marvin's Magic lights from anywhere.
That's amazing. So you bought Marvin, and now you're working for Marvin's Magic.
Yeah, and it kind of came full circle. So when that happened, I was like, it just felt amazing. And I was working, I was demonstrating all the products, slowly getting to learn a bit more about the business, getting to know the people at Harrods, the management at Harrods. And then one day I just get a phone call saying, due to certain circumstances, we want to see if you're interested in managing this department.
Wow.
And I was just like, oh. And it was November. Christmas is obviously the busiest time of the year. I've never done a Christmas there before.
Wow.
I was just like, well, I don't know, I'm maybe 20, 21. I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do this. So I said, yeah. And then I took on this huge concession at Harrods and hired a load more people. Then had a really stressful but amazing Christmas, and then stayed there for a long time. And then something happened, which is this is the first of kind of a split decision I had in the road, which was I got a phone call from a guy called Jamie Raven, who is a guy who had recently been on Britain's Got Talent. He came second. He was the highest paid magician of the series at that time, and he said, "Do you want to come on tour with me?" And I long think about it. I was like, I can stay here at Harrods, the most luxurious store in the world. It's the Guinness World Record for the highest turnover of any store in the world, and it's breaking that record every year. Or I could go on tour with this magician. And it took me a while to think, do I want to stay here? And I've been there for I was coming up to 2 years, and so many things happened at Harrods, and weirdly, annoyingly, I can't talk about a lot of things that happened there. So when you sign up, they say any of the celebrities or royalty or heads of state that come in, you can't talk about them. But just me saying those names is enough to give you a clue of the kind of people I was seeing on a day-to-day basis. Because some of the other departments, you would never get Barack Obama in women's wear. Yeah. But what's interesting is, because most people have children, you get all these world-famous celebrities and things coming through the toy department all the time, usually with their kids. So one thing I can say is, like, Adele would come in every Saturday morning. Every Saturday morning, Adele and her child would be there, and would see them, and like these amazing things would happen. I was like, I could stay here with all this amazing experience, or I could try something new. And I realised the reason I started at Marvin's was to start something new. So I thought, okay, I'll move. I'll take this thing. So we went on tour. Never really done it. I've done little bits of kind of stage management before in London, held doing favours, but never on a big scale like this. So I thought, why not? Let's do this. So I met Jamie. Never really met him before. Done a couple of things with him, but he wasn't like my best mate or anything.
He's a wonderful guy, though.
But I got this phone call. I was with another magician at the time, out having dinner, and the guy called Russ Stevens, who you'll probably know.
I know Russ really well.
Russ rings me up and he goes, "I'm working with this guy called Jamie. Do you want to work with us?" I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Well, come down in. We're rehearsing in 2 days, and then we go on tour in a week." I was like, "What?" Because we're going on tour in a week.
Wow.
I can book you a ticket to Blackpool tomorrow. So booked a ticket to Blackpool, got the ticket to Blackpool the next day, and there I was in the old theatre where Russ had his theatre show back in the 90s, rehearsing with Jamie. And we were putting this show together. And then they said, yep, we're going to do this tour. It's 31 shows in 32 days. And then we're going to go to Abu Dhabi and do the show. Then we're going to go to Jersey as well. Wow. So it was really, really intense. But I thought, let's do it. And we toured the whole of the UK, selling out theatres all around the UK. And it was the most fun I think I've ever had doing anything.
That's a good experience.
Around that time I was thinking, and I could go back to Marvin's after this, I can go back to Marvin's. And I did. For a couple of weeks I was like, okay, I'll go back. But that whole time I was just like, I've been on the road, I've been doing this amazing stuff, and I can possibly not do that. I actually did all this stuff with Jamie without really telling anybody. I didn't put anything on Facebook.
Right.
So when people saw me there, like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
And at the end of it, at the end of that first leg, I put like a huge status up saying, this is the end of a huge chapter of my life. I'm no longer doing stuff in Marvin's, but I'm going to work with this guy called Jamie Raven. At that time as well, I also took on a different job with a different a much bigger company, but smaller in terms of the work I was doing with a company called Roland, which are one of the leading producers of pianos, keyboards, and synthesizers. So I've worked with them in Harrods on a kind of every couple of weeks basis, just kind of monitoring their concession. So yeah, I took on this work with Jamie, I took on this work with Roland, and then an interesting phone call happened, the exact same way. My life seems to revolve around these life-changing phone calls. I get a phone call from a guy called David Bonsall.
Okay. Oh yes, yeah.
A lot of people know David Bonsall. I picked it up and he's like, hello there, two of my customers, Faye Presto and Zach, have been saying some amazing stuff about you. I don't really know you, but they said you should work for our shop. I was like, okay. So after all the touring and stuff had happened and all that, I was like, let's do it. Let's work. Let's see what these guys want to offer. And he had a shop called Prop Dog, which at the time was growing. It was this new shop that people didn't really know.
Now it's one of the best shops in Magic.
And it was getting to that point, yeah, exactly. And people were just starting to get to know what it was. And as I joined, they were signing deals with Illusionist and signing Theory 11, and there's all these amazing things that happened. And with my experience from Marvin's, combined my experience I've learned from all my Magic years, I sat there and I just took the seat, and again, over about 2 years I worked at that shop, and I answered the phone to everybody, I answered all the emails, and dealt with all the people in the shop, and slowly took on all the responsibility. I got to know all the people in Murphy's Magic, which are the wholesalers for all the magic shops in the world, started striking deals up with all these other companies as well, and it was one of the most I probably ever learned in the magic industry. Was because this shop was much smaller in terms of its, there was only 6 staff, whereas Marvin's is dozens of people around the world. I got to know this business really well, and it taught me so much about my own business as well. So I learned much more about negotiating fees, negotiating rates, like all these things that I didn't really do very well. Through Marvin's and through Prop Dog, I learned these amazing skills. Again, with Jamie as well. Jamie was at the top of his game in the corporate market. This was somebody who was doing like 50 gigs in December alone, the year before he was on Britain's Got Talent, and suddenly I was taking in all this information. And then in October last year, I just had that feeling that I had before I joined Marvin's, which is like, I need to do something different. And that's what happened. So since then, I've kind of been doing whatever I like. Doing things all over the UK. So I've been lecturing at conventions, at magic clubs, been doing various bits of consultancy. So I've done 2 series of Britain's Got Talent now with Axe as a advisor, as well as just a general handyman because of the stuff I know behind the scenes there. And it's been amazing. Like, the best stuff of my life has happened in the last 12 months, and I hope that just gets better and bigger for the next few years.
So what do you want to do? What's your plan what's your future plan?
My only plan, and I think you might agree with this, my only plan is to never be bored. I don't want to be bored. Just a little bit of history. I'll try and keep this short because I'm talking a lot. When I was younger, I was born into a family that had quite a bit of money, like relatively more than average, and I knew what having money felt like. And when I was younger, I thought having lots of holidays was normal. I thought that was normal. Then, as life went on, I didn't have as much. By the time I was 14, 15, our family didn't have as much money as we used to, and I realised the value of money very early on. But I also realised it's basically the same. So when most people are spending their whole life trying to make more money and knowing what that feels like, I already knew what that felt like. And it's basically the same. So my aim is basically to just not be bored. I see so many people that have loads of money that are bored.
I like that. I really like that.
Being bored is so horrible. I'd rather be poor than bored any day.
That is wonderful.
So that's my only plan, is to not be bored. So I'll do anything as long as it's not boring. And also, if it can just about pay the rent, then that's good as well.
That's good. Great answer, Henry. Fantastic. I love it. So where can people find you now? So if someone watching this wants to see you, is it just social media, or do you perform?
I perform. It's a question I get asked a lot because Famously, a few years ago, I put a huge status up on Facebook going, I don't understand why magicians have to brag so much about doing gigs. Like, if you don't know, magicians love posting pictures of empty ballrooms, going, oh, this is the office for tonight, lads. I hate it. I hate it so much. So I put a big rant up going, I hate magicians that do this. But what it does accomplish is that people know when you're busy. They also know when you're not busy, because it's when you're not posting anything.
Right.
But they know when you're busy. Because I don't post really anything about my personal life or my gig life unless it's really interesting, people are often confused when I say I perform. I perform fairly often, so I cover for you.
Yeah, you cover for me with my residencies, yeah, of course.
And we've been working together for
a long time.
Very long time now.
Long time.
I do lots. Cover seems to be the thing I've cornered the covering
When are you
market.
going to get your own residency?
I feel weird. I've never wanted my life to revolve around just performing. I don't know why, it just doesn't feel like the thing for me, but I love doing it here and then. So I end up doing gigs, usually kind of 1-2 a week on average. Sometimes, like for example, the last week has been, I've done 9 gigs in 7 days. That's only because I didn't have the money to pay the rent, so I kind of hoard myself out.
In 7 days.
But I perform, but I also do a lot of backstage work. So I work as a sound engineer, a lighting engineer, a stage manager, an assistant. So right now I'm working with a high-profile magician who's just done a lot of work on TV, and I kind of assist him as he goes around all his corporate work.
Can you name that or no? Not yet.
It's pardon me, sir? Oh yeah, so it's a guy called Ben Hart who's been on Britain's Got Talent. So his magic isn't very straightforward. There's a lot of complications. So I make sure that the cues are running on time, that the people who are filming him are filming the right angles, and I'm cueing the people on the vision mixers as well as making sure just everything runs smoothly. Because again, I grew up in a pub, I've worked in events my entire adult life, I just know, I have a sixth sense of how these things work. And weirdly, a lot of award ceremonies and corporate dues aren't organised by event organisers, they're organised by Sophie from the office or Karen from finance. They're not often organised by anybody with any level of what an event should actually be. So what I like doing is turning up and going, in my experience, I think we should do this. And quite often they're quite happy to hear that, because they secretly don't want to say, I don't know what I'm doing. So it's just taking the weight off of the performer's shoulders and taking that onto my shoulders and making things happen quickly. So sometimes that's sorting out hot food, sometimes it's gluing together some weird magic prop last minute. So it's all kinds of things, but I do that with a few magicians as well at the moment. I really enjoy that, and it's an opportunity to learn a different lifestyle. And it's, again, I'll do anything as long as it's interesting, pretty much. But the other thing I do, I'm also a pianist. So this is something I kind of buried very early on. I also play piano, so I've played piano in restaurants, in casinos, hotels. I've also occasionally had weird phone calls to record little jingles and stuff for TV shows. So that's fun. But yeah, I just kind of do anything I like. So I've literally just signed a contract this week to start working on a new magic show.
Oh wow, where is this?
I can't say just yet.
Okay.
I'm sure Brendan's going to be involved with this actually. Hopefully he doesn't know this yet, but he's going to get a phone call tomorrow. So they're working on a new magic show in a new venue, and that's something I'm working on at the moment.
I think I know what you're talking about. I'm not going to mention anything else.
But I'm sure you'll see some of this coming up soon. That's something I'm working on behind the scenes at the moment. The other thing I'm working on, for the last 9 months, I've been working with another magician. I can't say who it is, but in my opinion, he's the greatest sleight of hand artist who ever lived. Some of you will know who it is from that description alone. We've been working together on a huge project, which you will see the fruits of that labour. So we've been talking every single day since the kind of beginning of December. And it's really weird because we've had this business together for 4 months. We've been working every single day at this thing, but I can't talk about it, and because of the nature of what we're doing. But this thing starts to unveil very soon. So in the next 2 weeks, you'll see the fruits of that labour. So keep your eyes out for a kind of shift in magical thinking. I'll leave it at that. But you'll see
I think what I'll do is I'll give people your Instagram details, so if you do want to see what's coming up, I'll leave Henri's Instagram details down below in the video, so you can see all of that. But otherwise, I think this was a great chat, and I think what we should need to do. We need to get a residency. So if you're watching this and you know restaurants and bars where Henry and me are going to do a double act, we should do that double act thing, right?
I think we
should bring it back because there's just something.
I realised as well. Sorry to cut you off. I wasn't actually answer your question. Your question was where can you see me before?
Yes.
And I didn't answer that question.
Well, you said your residency.
Yeah.
A couple of residencies. So you have a regular place.
Yeah. So occasionally, so I cover You with Masculine and Cook, which is the Magic Bar in Piccadilly.
Yeah.
I work with people like Laura London at Café de Paris, Hippodrome Casino, Circus, all those places as well. But also I do stand-up magic. So this is a side that most people don't see in me, that I do a kind of stand-up comedy act with magic. So there's a few places, and again, as Brendan says, check it out on my social media. I don't tend to post about it, but I've done them in places like Soho House, and also weirder places like pubs in King's Cross and Camden.
I haven't been to any of those. Maybe I should start. I guess it's in the evening. Yeah, but I'm always working in the evening, so it's really hard to sort of leave jobs and come to events. But I'll try and make it a point to come to one of your shows. Sure.
I'd love you to see it. And the last one of these I did actually, I decided to try something completely different. So even though it's not really my style, I've always been intrigued by the kind of Juan Tamariz, Danny Doherty's style of magic. Now, even though the content isn't necessarily for me, that idea of having a table, a deck of cards, and people around you, I really want to explore that. So the last show I did, I was booked to do 15 minutes. I ended up doing 35 minutes of magic with just a single deck of cards.
Wow!
And it was a challenge I wanted to accept because a lot of people boast on Facebook going, "Oh, I do closer magic, but I only use deck of cards, and it's still interesting." And I think basically they're all twats. But I wanted to see if it was possible, and it actually be interesting because I believe these people talking aren't interesting because I see the videos they've got up. But I really want to see if I can make something that was theatrically interesting and engaging, and I think I managed to do it. And who knows, I might do it again soon and video it and put that whole video up. It'd be interesting to see. But that was something I did recently that I was really happy with.
And don't forget to post. This is my office for the evening.
Oh yes, I never post a picture of the gig beforehand.
I'm kidding.
But I'll give you the dates.
But yeah, that's great. No, honestly, do check out Henry because I think he's amazing. It's been a long interview, but I guess you've been wanting some of these. So I said, do you know what? Instead of giving you a magical advice or something, I just want to do something where you meet someone I like, and I have an interest in his kind of magic. So I'm glad you finally got to meet Henry, and it was lovely talking. Let me know if you wanted him back again. Are you still? Oh,
that's strange. Sorry, I thought.
Okay.
That was kind of weird.
Oh.
Strange. What would you?
Oh, beautiful. Oh,
just the thing we do.
And that's why I love him so much. Excellent. Well, thank you for this interview.
Pleasure.
Thank you for watching this. I hope you have a great time wherever you are. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Right, let's put this lamp back.
Yeah.